Hey everybody, welcome to or back to my channel, My Kind of Stuff, and today we are going to be talking cryptids. So in honor of the Cryptid Readathon that is happening this month, I thought I would read some cryptid books that I've been meaning to get to. I'm going to be reading 5 total books in this vlog. The first one being The Squonk and the Horned Beast. The next one being The Jersey Devil. I'm also going to be reading A Death Indoor County, Into the Drowning Deep, and Love and Other Conspiracies. Now, I'm a little late to filming this intro, so as of now, I've already completed 2 of the books, one being The Jersey Devil and the other being A Death Indoor County. So I'll go over these real quick as well. I've also been listening to Love and Other Conspiracies. I'm almost done with that one. I've also started Into the Drowning Deep, and I've read a tiny bit of The Squonk and the Horned Beast, but that one is a novella and it's on KU, so I haven't been really focusing on this one so much yet because it's going to go really quickly. All right, so let's talk The Jersey Devil by Hunter Shea. This was not at all what I was expecting. It was more like action adventure. Once we saw the Jersey Devil start attacking, it was just nonstop action and bloodshed from there. It was definitely way more intense than I thought it was going to be. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get a ton of backstory or lore on the Jersey Devil. We just kind of jumped straight into the sightings and people being attacked by this creature or creatures. And we follow the Willett family. Their grandmother had come across this creature long time ago. And now all of a sudden the devils are back, and her and 4 generations of her family go out to face this creature and try and save their small town. There's also a summer music festival coming up that's going to be brimming with teenagers, and they're afraid that, this Jersey Devil is going to prey on all of the teenagers at this music festival. I listened to what do they call it? The audiobook, but with all the weird sound effects and stuff. It was a lot. I think it took away from the story more than it added. I don't think it needed all of that. But it was definitely an experience. But basically, it's just following this family carrying all the firepower they can handle and this horde of monsters that have come to New Jersey. Simple as that. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It was fine, not an all-time favorite. Definitely was much different than I was expecting, and maybe that's on me for going in with the wrong expectations. But I was expecting more lore, and what I got was an old school high action horror. Which I guess I'm not mad at. I just it was missing the cryptid part for me. They made it more monstrous and less this weird elusive creature that isn't really supposed to exist but maybe exists. I don't know. They made it almost too real, and I feel like it took away from the fact that it's supposed to be a cryptid. The next book I read was A Death Indoor County by Annalise Ryan. This one was more mystery, cozy mystery-esque, than it was super cryptid or horror. Definitely horror adjacent, but it's not scary in the least. I gave this one 3 stars as well. I'm not the biggest cozy mystery fan. But this one takes place in Door County. I spent a lot of time in Door County growing up in the summers. We would always vacation there because I am from Wisconsin myself. So I really thought that this one was going to be like nostalgic and like I would recognize a lot of like places. But unfortunately, it was very vague in the descriptions of Door County itself. I didn't really feel like I was there in the story. I just could have been anywhere there's a lake. It, I don't know. It missed the piece that I wanted from it, which is not, I guess, the book's fault per se. I just thought that I would recognize more places or there would be more prominent places talked about in here that just weren't. Um, but we follow Morgan, who owns Odds and Ends bookstore. She's also a cryptozoologist. And she took over this bookstore from her parents, who were also cryptozoologists. And they spent their whole life traveling the world researching cryptids. And now they own this Odds and Ends bookstore. And they have all kinds of weird, like, artifacts and things from cryptids. And it's off-putting to a lot of, like, locals, but it definitely is, like, a tourist attraction. As far as I'm aware, and from a little bit of research I did, this bookstore does not exist in Door County. I thought it would be really cool if, like, maybe there was some sort of, like, I don't know, correlation to an actual shop in Door County because it is a very touristy little city. Like it's a upper northern Wisconsin city, so it's very like quaint and cozy. And I don't know. I just didn't get that from here. And I guess I'm a little disappointed that they didn't use like an actual bookshop that is in Door County as the bookshop here. But basically, a lot of bodies start going missing on the shores of Lake Michigan, and Morgan teams up with the police chief, John, and try to unravel the mystery of these people's disappearances. It seems kind of weird to me how, like, I don't know, like, what made him go to her? Why is she able to, like, impede on this investigation? Like, she's just inserting herself in the middle of it, investigating things that I think she has no business investigating. Like, she's there as a cryptozoologist, and, like, she's going door to door and, like, finding out, like, oh, this person was cheating, and oh, this person was doing that. And it's like, that's stuff for the cops. That's not stuff for you. And that has nothing to do with the cryptozoologist stuff that you're supposed to be bringing to the table. Um, so I don't know. It was a little weird for me. She has this dog that is just the goodest boy, and I absolutely love when they add a pet companion in books. So that was really cute. Overall, I thought this was fun. I liked how the story wrapped up, but again, cozy mysteries just aren't really my thing. But I thought I'd give it a shot, just because of the setting. And yeah, another 3-star read. And then, like I said, I'm also in the middle of listening to Love and Other Conspiracies as well as Into the Drowning Deep. So I will check back with you guys when I have finished one of those. And I also am going to be reading The Squonk and the Horned Beast. So more on that as well. All right, I have finished listening to Love and Other Conspiracies by Mallory Marlowe. This one was a win for me. I gave this one 4 stars. It was really cute little like paranormal conspiracy theorist web series producer romance. So we follow Haley, who is her job is to produce these like web series, and she's really good at her job. The company she works for, she's like on the brink of a promotion. She's trying to like knock out her ex and kind of like get the spotlight because he's kind of a douche. And he also works there as well. Um, so they're always competing against each other. She finds this like late night docu series hosted by this really handsome, really passionate guy, Hayden. And he is a cryptid expert. He has his own podcast, and she goes to find him and asks him to do a cryptid show that she wants to produce. He agrees to it. They start filming. Things aren't going well. He's like really awkward on camera. So she jumps in and tries to like banter with him to get him more comfortable and talking. One of her bosses sees their interactions together and thinks that that is really going to bring something more to the show. So they end up doing this show together. And just seeing them grow like their relationship, he is clearly so like obsessed with her in such a cute way. Um, there's not a ton of spicy scenes, but there are a couple, and they I think are really cute and tastefully done. Haley brings like the skepticism to the show. She doesn't believe in any of this stuff. She just thinks it's interesting and finds like his podcast so fun to listen to. She's like, even if you don't believe it, it's still fun. So she's having a blast. He does believe in all of this stuff. So they'll go to like these haunted locations. And he's always like freaking out. He's jumping at every sound. Because he believes in all of this stuff. So it's really funny, like their banter back and forth, because she's always like picking on him for being like jumpy and skittish. And it was just so cute, and I had such a great time with it. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more into like some of the cryptids, because there was like the Mothman, and they went for like alien discoveries. They also did Bigfoot, and like they did all these cool things, and we got little dabbles of it. I wish we would have expanded on it, maybe just a tiny bit more. I realized that it's a romance. It was supposed to be focused on the romance. But I thought it was interesting, so I think it would have been cuter had we gotten like longer little like chunks of like maybe his podcast thrown in there. And we did get little blips here and there, but I think like a full chapter of like a podcast or something could have been really neat for like each new cryptid or whatever that they were going to investigate. But overall, it was really fun. It was really cute, and I really enjoyed my time with it. And I am now about 50% of the way into the Drowning Deep. So I've been enjoying that one so far as well. So I'm gonna go continue that and check in with you guys when I finished. All right, I am back with another update. I finished Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. I gave this one 4 stars. I can't believe I'm saying that either, and I think it might have been my favorite book I read in this whole vlog. But yeah, I didn't think I cared about mermaids or selkies or sirens or anything like that. Like, I, water horror is not generally like my favorite niche. But I'm glad that I read it because I was pleasantly surprised. So, in this book, a few years prior, this group of people making a mockumentary went out onto a voyage into the Mariana Trench and never came back. So, jump to now, we are following a crew that has assembled, but they're not going for like entertainment like this other crew was. They are scientists, and they are out to validate their life's work and hunt mermaids. uh, it's definitely kind of weird and interesting. Um, one of the main characters is deaf, so trying to like see her integrate into the world with everybody else, and like people don't talk directly to her. It's kind of like sad to see her sort of ignored by people, and her sister is also on the ship, and they kind of like go to her and just talk directly to her sister instead of trying to have a communication with her. So it's kind of sad seeing that happen. But once this story finally got going, which I will say the reason it didn't get 5 stars is because it took way too long for anything to happen. Like, it was 150 pages in, I think, before the first like attack. happens, but once they get going, man, does it not stop. We are taking out people left and right. It is pretty brutal. I wasn't really expecting it, but also seeing all the science behind it and them trying to learn the language that the mermaids are using to communicate and like what the warning signs are. And yeah, it was just super interesting, and I liked all the science behind it. I feel like that's what a lot of the other books that I've read so far in here were missing, is they were more like action and adventure and not enough of like the science behind it. So I really appreciated that here. Now, that being said, I also finished today The Squonk and the Horned Beast by Kevin Paul Saliba. I believe that's how you say it. This is just a novella. It was 140 pages ish. It's on Kindle Unlimited, and I also am giving this one 4 stars. Now, this was a 4 stars on the enjoyment level and not a writing level, because truly the writing was pretty bad, if I'm being honest. But I had so much fun learning about the squonk, learning about this horned beast. Um, and again, we got a lot of lore and backstory, maybe not science per se, but like lore and backstory on these creatures. And that is what I want in a cryptid book. I've been reading so many disappointing ones where like we just glaze over the lore. Like that's the whole point of them, right? Like they're not proven real. So if we're not getting that like folklore kind of aspect to it, what is the point of the story? It's just what I'm missing in a lot of cryptid books. So I'm glad that again we got this here. Uh, this one has a lot of themes of like isolation, depression, friendship, kind of like rebirth. Um, we follow the horned beast in this story, so not necessarily the squonk, although he is a very large chunk of the story. And our poor horned beast, he was born a runt of the litter. He was born with horns and a tail, so he didn't fit in with his creatures. He didn't fit in with the humans. He was basically left by his mother. Um, and he ends up like finding a boy who is drowning in a pond, and he saves him and he brings him back to the village and is expecting everyone to like thank him. And instead, he gets beaten and thrown in jail. And while he's sitting there rotting away in jail in a very harsh prison, his savior ends up coming in the form of a tiny spider that takes residence up on his horn, as well as our friend the Squonk, who his name is Seacunk. 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 Why? I don't know. What a weird name. But that's where we're at. We've got Putnam, he's our horned beast, and Seacunk the Squonk. And we basically start following kind of like a back and forth story of how Putnam got where he is, how the Squonk came to rescuing him, but just learning about the Squonk. And like he basically, whenever he is threatened, turns into a pile of tears, and those tears are deadly to whoever they touch. And he's like this weird, wrinkly little hideous rat-like creature, like a naked mole rat kind of. But he has these most beautiful blue eyes that just lure people in, and it was just so cute. I really liked the story. I liked how it was done with the like back and forth and kind of like almost working backwards to come to the the end of the story. It was very interesting, but again, the writing felt very juvenile. I almost felt like it. It's definitely not a kid's story, but it almost felt like it was written for a kid. I don't know. It was very weird and harsh, but again, I'm giving it 4 stars because I liked the lore and I appreciated what it did, and I still had fun with the story, even if the writing wasn't where I think it should have been at. All right, guys, I had so much fun reading these 5 cryptid books this month. Let me know down in the comments below if you've read any standout cryptid stories ever, because I am always in the market for one. I love cryptids, but again, I'm generally disappointed. So if you know any with like a lot of lore or backstory or science behind it, I would love to hear your recommendations and I will definitely check them out. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!